With such gentleness, he stood beside me and held me as I wept, held me the way a pond holds a lotus, the way a scarf holds perfume, the way a man who has lost his child holds the mother of the child. His hands so light on my hands as our fingers laced into a tender weave, held me the way the pericardium holds the heart, the way the eye holds a tear, then lets it slip away. So one more time, wordlessly. With such gentleness, he stood beside me and held me as I wept, held me the way a pond holds the lotus, the way a scarf holds perfume, the way a man who has lost his child holds the mother of the child. His hands so light on my hands as our fingers laced into a tender weave, held me the way the pericardium holds the heart, the way the eye holds a tear, then lets it slip away. So taking a comfortable seat, just kind of entering your body, holding your hands in that open pose on your lap, just relaxed, the shoulders relaxing, the muscles of the face relaxing. And then straightening the back just by millimeters, if you're able to. And lengthening the neck, same thing, if you're able to, if that feels comfortable. Just relaxing the breath so that you can breathe in to 4 counts, pause just a little bit at the top, and then breathe out to 5. And as you sit in that pose of present awareness, everything is aligned so that the breath is moving up and down the conduit between the heart and the brain. What in Buddhism we call chitta, which is mind heart. It becomes one organ. Just a little pause at the peak. And then release to the count of 5. And as you achieve that deeper, more relaxed breathing, go through everything again, letting the muscles of the face fall, relaxing the jaw, lengthening the neck a little bit. Letting the shoulders fall. And then just feeling that creaking open door of the heart, or like a drawbridge coming down over a moat between you and the rest of the world. And what's in there is always in there, available to be accessed. And if there are any areas where you feel discomfort, you might just use your awareness to focus on that place in the body. As Tara Brach suggests, you could just put your hand on your heart or on your belly or the back of your neck, your shoulder, just to acknowledge that connection. In the last minute, you might even allow your breathing to go just a little bit deeper. Wordlessly, with such gentleness, he stood behind me and held me as I wept, held me the way a pond holds a lotus, the way a scarf holds perfume, the way a man who has lost his child holds the mother of the child. His hands so light on my hands as our fingers laced into a tender weave, held me the way the pericardium holds the heart, the way the eye holds a tear, then lets it slip away. I've used Rosemary's poems in the past, and those of you who know her work know that there's a story behind it. Two stories. One story is that in 2006, she decided that she would write a poem every day for as long as she could. And now, almost 20 years later, she's still doing it. And on her website, she publishes these poems and she posts them on Instagram. And the next day, she lets that one go and goes to the new poem, and so on and so on. And that has continued for now 19 years. The other story is that just a few years ago, she lost her son. And if you listen to this exquisite interview that Tara Brach did with her on Tara's weekly podcast, Rosemary goes into what happened to her writing practice around that time. She did not continue writing in the days that followed Finn's death, but she did return to it after letting it sit for a period where there was just wordlessness in her grief. And then out of that wordlessness, the poems came back. But it reminded me of something that I saw, and if you'll follow me here to another image, it reminded me of something I saw on the news now about a week and a half ago during the fires in Los Angeles. There was a newscaster who was reporting on just an inferno around him. And there was a palm tree that had caught fire, and it was just blazing like a medieval torch in the background. And from out of the light of the fire up at the top of the road, there came these three figures, and it was a woman with a rein in each hand running and a horse at the end of each rein. On the left side was a brown horse, and the one closest to the newscaster was a white horse. And she just came trotting down the street with these horses, ran behind the cameras and onward out of the fire. There was something about her calm, and the horses calm too, because they were just trotting alongside her, even amidst this wild craziness. They were running so calmly past the fires and disappearing in the distance. And it's the feeling that I get when I read Rosemary's poems, that there are these horses, what we wish could have been, what we don't want to happen, what we desire and grasp for, what we reproach and push away. That we have this white horse and we have this brown horse that we're trying to guide through a fire. And her poems have for me, they carry for me this quality of that woman who in perfect calm was able to hold both reins without letting go of either horse, because they both represent something kind of precious. We want to protect ourselves. We want to be happy and well. She's not letting go of the horses, but she's also in control of them. She was not being taken for a ride by her horses or dragged down the street as her horses tried to escape the fire. She was in total control, and with calm steadiness, she guided them away. So this poem, Wordlessly, really captures that for me, because it's not just about Rosemary's grief, it's also about the way her husband is able to be with her without trying to grasp or push away from the moment, but just to be present in the way that these things are present. The pond holding the lotus, the scarf holding perfume, the man himself holding his wife, and the way the pericardium holds the heart. The pericardium is there just to support the heart. It wraps around the heart. It takes pressure off the heart. But what I realized when I looked deeply into this poem is that none of these things are making any effort to do the holding. They're actually just not resisting being there. They're not resisting the lotus. They're not resisting the heart. Their presence is just carrying through and carrying on. And it's what makes it so beautiful and so honest to me, because in that moment of like terrifying grief, what else can you do? In a way, it's like for all of us, I'm sure that everybody in this room has sat with a dying person and you realize, oh, well, there's nothing left to say and there's nothing left to do. And this is when love becomes a quality, not an act. And that's the theme that I wanted to begin this semester with. How can we live our lives lovingly with the quality of love? Pema Chodron talks about this quality here, and she calls it steadfastness. When we practice, we are strengthening our ability to be steadfast with ourselves. No matter what comes up, aching bones, boredom, falling asleep, or the wildest thoughts and emotions, we develop a loyalty to our experience. She's talking about meditation there, but you can carry this idea of steadfastness much farther. How can I be steadfast with the world as it's burning? How can I be steadfast with the struggling world? So that's the question that I wanted to begin this new session with. Here's Wordlessly. With such gentleness, he stood behind me and held me as I wept, held me the way a pond holds a lotus, the way a scarf holds perfume, the way a man who has lost his child holds the mother of the child. His hands so light on my hands, as our fingers laced into a tender weave, held me the way the pericardium holds the heart, the way the eye holds a tear, then lets it slip away. So let's go back into it. Taking that pose of attention, just lengthening the neck just a little bit and softening the shoulders, straightening the back so that you're taller by a millimeter. Your hands face up on your lap. Being steadfast with whatever discomfort you might be feeling in your body. Softening the belly. Letting down the drawbridge of the heart. And then just deepening the breath so that you achieve this rhythm of 4 counts in and a little pause at the top, and then releasing it all completely, 5 counts out. Be touching on that discomfort wherever it is. It could be right in your heart because it's discomfort for somebody else for whom there's not much else to do, but you can be with them. The feeling that so much is with us already. Wordlessness is sitting with words. Stillness is sitting with action. Silence is sitting with the cacophony of experience. God is sitting with us. And to turn this into a little sutra, may I be steadfast. May I be steadfast today. May I hold the one horse without grasping. May I not let go of the other horse too easily. May I just be steadfast with my horses. Using Pema Chodron's words, may I be loyal to my experience no matter what I'm feeling. She means staying with the practice. May I be loyal to my experience no matter what I'm feeling. And the last is, may I sit and stay with the struggling world. May I sit at the world's bedside. These are things that we can do. May I be steadfast. May I hold without grasping. May I hang on without letting go. May I sit at the bedside of the struggling world. And in the last couple of minutes, just remembering that noble pose, straightened back, the soft shoulders, the lengthened neck, the open heart, the heart and the mind as one organ, not at odds, but one conduit of consciousness. Wordlessly by Rosemerry Wahtola Trommer. With such gentleness, he stood behind me and held me as I wept, held me the way a pond holds a lotus, the way a scarf holds perfume, the way a man who has lost his child holds the mother of the child. His hands so light on my hands, as our fingers laced into a tender weave, held me the way the pericardium holds the heart, the way the eye holds a tear, then lets it slip away.